You need to know
This is who I am.
where it began,
Vryheid was
so that you
originally
can
white.
continue forward.
I am
My aim in life is to help. God has a plan for you.
Black mother.
Welcome to African Identities. My name is Yanela Monti.
And my name is Yanda. In this episode, we visit Caerie and she shares her special journey 20 years into South Africa's democracy.
Asamente Mbona.
Hi, my name is Caerie-Lae Broughton. I'm originally from Durban, and in 1992 my father moved us to Vryheid. He said we didn't really have a family life in Durban as my parents worked in Pinetown and we lived in Kloof, so we didn't really see them much. So he decided to bring us to a small town. We had an absolutely fabulous childhood here. We were kids for a very long time, climbing trees, playing games and all sorts of things. And then my father moved us out to a farm, which we absolutely loved. We had a pet cow who we could lie on and milk, and we had horses too. My sister and I used to ride a lot of show jumping and dressage. And then when I was in Center 5, my father unfortunately passed away in a car accident on the road to our farm. He was coming home from a round table function. It's now 17 years and I still get a little bit teary-eyed every time I talk about him. My father and I are very, very close. He was a big part of my life, and if I could be half the person he was, then I've achieved a lot in my life. After my father died, my mother sold our farm because she said it wasn't safe for us as 3 girls to live on the farm by ourselves. So we moved into town, and she then got involved with my stepfather, who I absolutely love and adore. He never replaced my father, but he's always been a dad for me. My sister and my mother have both moved to Durban now. It's just me left here with my stepdad, and then of course my boyfriend. We were privileged enough to go to a semi-private school, the Nardini Convent here in town. At that stage, it was one of the first schools who had children of colour. So I was brought up in a family where there was no difference between race. Growing up in Vryheid, I think, is a very good thing, and it brings you closer as a family, and I think that's very important in life. I consider myself very family orientated. There's not a lot to do here for young people, but we tend to live our lives outside, and we tend to still be children for a very long time in our lives. Our house was a little creepy, I think there was a spook or two. But yeah, it was awesome. Because of what I've been through with my mom and my stepdad and going through a divorce, I think for children any age it's a hard story, you know, and sometimes you leave and that person and their children have to face the music of what you've left behind and what you haven't. I was 23. It was very hard on me. I was like trying to be the glue for my family. I was trying to put the family back together. It's heartbreaking, you know. You get angry with people because things happen in your life. But at the end of the day, you are in control of who you are and what you become. Nobody else. You know, I've seen kids who have come from broken families or have come from abusive families, but they are amazing people. And I think at the end of the day, I will never blame on what's happened in my life that other people have caused to who I am. Doors open for reasons, other ones close for reasons. And I think you yourself have to decide of what you want to be. And I think life also teaches you lessons who you don't want to be, and you have to make that choice. I find now we're talking about democracy and how things have changed. I don't have children of my own as yet, but my friends who do have children, I see what they learn at school, and the history it's quite sad because they don't learn any history prior to a certain date. You know, they don't learn about Jan van Riebeeck, and they don't learn where it was like hammered into our heads. And I think they learn more about South African history, but I think you've got to know where we came from, and you've got to know the good with the ugly. I'm punished for things that happened a long time ago, and I don't feel there's democracy. I don't feel that, even though I have a say and I have a very, very big say, I feel like I never get heard in the sense of, you know, the youth of South Africa. I think a lot of us don't get heard, and I think a lot of the youth are also very intimidated by certain politicians. I think a lot of them, it's almost like a brainwashing for me, you know, that there is no democracy, and I don't think anyone will ever take over this country besides the ANC. I think they have the stronghold. Now, I feel too that people who don't vote, it's just a waste, because they're actually voting for the ANC and not against, you know. Everyone says nothing's ever going to change, but you have to be the change, and you have to start that change. I've seen Vryheid change and grow. Some of it's not always for the best. There's a lot more people in this town. I think there's a lot more, obviously, through the years, with the government changing, there's a lot more people of colour in Vryheid itself. And I mean, I remember when we used to go to the convent, there weren't many children of colour. There were, but you know, it's not like now where it's 50-50, if not slightly more coloured children in the school than white kids. I think it's a good thing, you know. I think there's a lot of diversity, and I think that's a lot that's changed in Vryheid. Vryheid's still very old school, don't get me wrong, but it has changed. It's grown. It's developed. The crime is just what gets to me sometimes.
uCaerie noTamara basixoxela ngoshintsho abalibona eVryheid. Asizwe ukuthi bathini.
Hi everyone, this is my sister Tamara. She grew up we both grew up in Vryheid, and I just want to find out from her why she left.
We left because our photography business was doing very, very well in Durban.
Would you ever move back?
I would move back for Grayson, because I think Vryheid's a really, really nice place for children to grow up in. But for adults like myself and my husband, like a young, growing family, there's not a lot here. But I think it's a good place to grow up in. I mean, I enjoyed growing up in Vryheid.
The place where Caerie grew up and holds many of her fond childhood memories continues to change and grow.
I've been away for 4 years, is that it's become more of colour. So there are not a lot of white people here, but there are a lot more black people here. And also a lot of foreigners, like your Chinese people and your Pakistani people.
Becoming more diverse.
The diversity definitely has become because of the change of government. Although I'm not a born free, as they say, I never lived in apartheid. I was never affected by those sorts of things. We were never brought up racists. But I noticed that from a school that was just white people, they were starting to become children of colour into the school. So, and also the strict Afrikaans school that was just white as well, had started to get, you know, people of colour into it. So I think definitely the democracy has changed, where it's become more diverse, more equal in a way.
Most people have experienced the past 20 years differently, and Caerie is no exception. This is her take.
How democracy has changed over the last 20 years. My honest opinion is I don't see any difference in the sense of, okay, wait, there is a difference. It's the flip side difference in the sense of, for me, there is no democracy. I feel that the government has a lot of power over what actually happens. Yes, the people have a say, but it doesn't necessarily mean they have a say. It's difficult. Being a white person in this country for me is very difficult. I feel that I struggle a lot more to get things done. I think apartheid was very evil, and I just think we need to move on. Let's stop blaming each other. And my worst is when you have an argument with someone, and I know it from school too. Everyone used to turn around, it's because I'm black. So I eventually turn around, it's because I'm white, because you know, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter who you are and what colour you are. If you've done something wrong, you've done something wrong. And I just feel that why favour a certain racial group? I was never part of apartheid, but my generation is being punished for it. It had nothing to do with me. What my forefathers and they all did is their problem, not mine. And I just feel it's unfair that a lot of us feel that we're actually going through apartheid in reverse. it's not fair because I'm white, was obviously privileged somewhere along the line, so I don't get the opportunity. I feel that everyone should have the same opportunity. If you're coloured, if you're Indian, if you're Cape Malayan who been in Cape Town for your whole life, you're South African, and that's what counts. You know, I don't have an issue if you pink or purple and you do the job better than an orange person, then go for it, you know. And I think sometimes skin colour is the worst thing. I'm just as South African as Julius Malema, and I'm just as South African as Jacob Zuma, and I'm just as South African as the guy who works in my garden, Tulani. Be who you are and don't change for anybody else. You know, I know the tradition of pinning money on blankets and whatever. That's who you are, that's where you come from. You know, slaughtering a cow or a goat, that's who you are and that's where you come from. So don't lose it, don't lose your heritage. For everybody, culture means a different thing, you know, but it's your background, and I feel that with our history of our country, I actually think on one hand, it put us all closer together in making one culture. And I mean, if you listen to Zulu, there's Afrikaans words in Zulu and the English words in Zulu and vice versa. We have our own culture, and I think we have a very diverse culture that's mixed. It's all of us together that makes us who we are. And I think there's a lot that defines South Africans, and I think it's not just one culture, but I think it's all of us put together that make what South Africa is about. Don't forget who you are. It's a very big part of how you got to where you are today.
And that's it from African Identities.
Thank you for watching. See you next time.